For 9 straight years, Sarah watched her investment account grow slower than her own patience. If that sounds familiar, if you've ever put money away and felt like absolutely nothing was happening, you're not broken and you're not doing it wrong. You're standing exactly where almost every investor stands right before the part nobody warns them about. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact dollar amount where that changes.
Hello, Sarah.
The specific balance where compounding stops crawling and starts sprinting, using real numbers, a real 30-year timeline, and data straight from the Federal Reserve. No hype, no guesswork, just the math laid out year by year so you can find out exactly where your own account stands right now. Here's the number that started this whole investigation. In her first full year of investing, the market handed Sarah $41. In her 30th year, it handed her $22,900. Same woman, same fund, same $300 a month, going in like clockwork. Roughly 550 times more growth from the exact same percentage. The only thing that changed was the size of the pile that percentage had to work with. Sarah almost quit at year 9. Most people do. The curve felt dead. It wasn't dead. It was loading. And the number she never learned to watch was the one number that would have told her to stay in her seat. There is a specific balance where compounding stops crawling and starts sprinting. Below that line, your paycheck is doing more work than the market. Above it, the market starts doing work no paycheck could ever match. Almost nobody is taught where that line sits, which means almost nobody knows whether they're 12 months from the turn or about to walk away right before it happens. So let's run the actual math. No shortcuts, no hype, just the numbers, straight from the source. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly which stage of the curve you're standing on. Sarah is 29. She lives in Columbus, Ohio, and works as a claims coordinator for a regional insurance company. Her take-home pay is $61,000 a year. After rent, groceries, her car payment, and her phone bill, she has about $430 of breathing room each month. She commits $300 of it to a low-cost total market index fund and lives on the rest. No stock picking, no timing the market, no trying to guess the next big trade. Just the same contribution into the same fund, month after month, for as long as it takes. To keep this honest, every variable stays locked. Same job, same income, same $300 a month, same broad market fund, and a 7% real annual return, which is roughly the long-run average the U.S. stock market has delivered after inflation over the past century. The only thing that's allowed to move is the balance itself, year over year. That's the whole experiment. Here's the trap almost everyone walks into before they even open a brokerage account. People picture savings as a straight ramp. 12 months of $300 is $3,600. 10 years is $36,000. 20 years is $72,000. 30 years is $108,000. That's the contribution line. It's intuitive. It's what your brain expects because it's how a savings account behaves, but that is not how compounding behaves. And the gap between what people expect and what actually happens is exactly where most people give up. By the end of year 1, Sarah has put in $3,600. The market adds about $41 on top. Her balance sits at $36.41. That's it. $41 for 12 straight months of discipline. It feels like the account is broken. By year 3, she's contributed $10,800. Her balance is around $11,900. She's ahead by about $1,100 of market money, roughly $36 a month in gains. Invisible next to the $300 she's putting in herself. By year 5, she's in $18,000. Her balance sits near $21,200. Her market gain for that year alone is climbing toward $1,300, about $108 a month after 5 full years of saving. By year 10, she's contributed $36,000. Her balance is close to $51,000. The market has added roughly $15,000 across a full decade of discipline. This is the exact moment Sarah sits at her kitchen table in Columbus and does the math out loud. 10 years, $36,000 of her own paychecks in, $15,000 to show for it. Her annual market gain that year is about $3,200, just under what she personally put in. 10 years to basically break even with her own contribution rate. She's maybe 4 years ahead of where a plain savings account would have left her. And if she'd spent that decade chasing whatever coin or stock her coworkers were hyping in the break room, half of them would still be telling her she played it too safe. Nobody warns you that this is the part where most people walk away. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The flatness of the first 10 years isn't bad luck, a weak market, or a bad contribution rate. It's structural. Compound growth runs on the balance, not on the contribution. When the balance is small, 7% of a small number is still a small number. 7% on $10,000 is $700. 7% on $50,000 is $3,500. 7% on $250,000 is $17,500. 7% on $500,000 is $35,000. Same rate, same market, same disciplined saver. Wildly different dollar outcomes. There are 3 structural rungs where the math changes shape. The first rung is the starter floor. Anything under $50,000. Your own paycheck is outworking the market. It feels like saving because it is saving. This is where most accounts sit for the entire first decade, and it's the rung where most people quit. The second rung is the inflection band, $50,000 to $100,000. At $75,000, a 7% real return is about $5,250 a year, more than Sarah's own $3,600 annual contribution. The curve starts to bend. The third rung is the ignition threshold, anything past $250,000. 7% on $250,000 is $17,500 a year, nearly 5 times Sarah's contribution. This is where the curve turns vertical. And it's the rung most people never reach because they quit long before it. The Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the most comprehensive household wealth study in the United States, confirms this pattern. The median retirement account balance for households under 35 cites around $18,900. For households 35 to 44, around $45,000. For households 45 to 54, near $115,000. For households 55 to 64, the peak savings window, around $185,000. The typical American household at peak earning years is sitting just past the inflection band and still well below the ignition threshold. That's not a willpower failure. That's a math story. There's a second data point that makes this urgent right now. American households are sitting on a record amount of idle cash, north of $3 trillion in checking and savings, the highest share of household assets held in cash in over 3 decades. At the same time, the personal savings rate has slipped to around 3%, one of the lowest readings on record. None of this requires a hedge fund or a financial advisor charging a percentage of her assets every year. Sarah's setup is almost boring. A taxable brokerage account and a workplace retirement plan, both holding the same type of instrument, a broad U.S. total market or S&P 500 index fund with an expense ratio under 0.1%. Providers like Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer nearly identical versions of this fund. What matters far more is automation, setting the $300 to leave her checking account the day after payday before she has a chance to spend it. It's worth stacking this against the 2 paths most people actually consider: instead of index investing. Path 1. Leaving the $400 in a high-yield savings account, earning close to 4% nominal, which, after inflation, barely holds its value. Path 2. Chasing individual stocks or speculative assets, hoping to skip the 10-year wait entirely. Individual stock pickers, as a group, tend to underperform a simple index fund over long stretches. Sarah's boring automated path isn't boring by accident. It's boring because removing decisions is what lets compounding run uninterrupted for 30 years. By year 15, her contribution total is $54,000. Her balance sits near or $94,000, right at the top of the starter floor. Her annual gain is roughly $6,300. The flip has started. By year 20, her contributions total $72,000. Her balance is close to $154,000. Her annual gain that year is about $10,000, nearly 3 times what she personally puts in. By year 25, she's contributed $90,000. Her balance sits around $240,000, right at the doorstep of the ignition threshold. Her annual gain that year alone is roughly $16,000. Had Sarah quit at year 10, none of this happens. The first decade did the slow, invisible labor. The second decade is where that labor gets paid. If you can't stay invested for the full 30 years, the backloaded math doesn't rescue you. Pull the money out at year 12, and you exit near the bottom of the inflection band, not the top. If your money sits in a high-fee, actively managed fund, a 1% annual expense ratio can strip out roughly $60,000 from Sarah's final balance, close to a fifth of her ending number. If real returns land at 5% instead of 7%, Sarah's year 30 balance would drop from around $340,000 to closer to $230,000. And if Sarah had started 15 years later, at age 44, even doubling her monthly contribution, her balance after 15 years would land well short of the ignition threshold. The math still works. The clock doesn't wait for anyone. By year 30, Sarah has contributed $108,000 over 3 decades. Her balance sits around $340,000. Her annual market gain in year 30 alone is roughly $22,900. The market gives her more in that single year than she contributed across any 6 full years of saving combined. In year 1, the market added $41. In year 30, it added $22,900. Roughly 550 times more dollar growth in a single year. From the identical rate, the same fund, the same $300 a month. Year 10, $51,000, starter floor, annual gain $3,200. Year 20, $154,000. Inflection band, annual gain $10,000. Year 30, $340,000, past the ignition threshold, annual gain $22,900, same $300 a month the entire way through. The trap was never saving too little. It was never picking the wrong fund. The trap is reading the first 10 years as proof of failure and walking away right before the curve does the thing you signed up for. The people who win this game aren't smarter than the people who quit. They simply stayed at the table long enough for the percentage to find real dollars to work with. And if you're wondering what happens when you double the monthly contribution, start at 44 instead of 29, or run this same math inside a tax-advantaged retirement account. Sarah didn't get lucky. She didn't time anything. She didn't pick a winning stock or catch some rare bull run. She just stayed at the table long enough for a small number to become a big one. And she almost didn't make it, because nobody told her what year 10 actually looks like on the inside. That's the only real risk in this whole story. Not the market. Not the fees. Not even the 7%. The risk is quitting in the one decade where the math looks like it's failing you, right before the decade where it pays you back for everything. If you're sitting in the starter floor right now, staring at a balance that feels too small to matter, that's not proof it's broken. That's proof you're early. Check your own number tonight, not the projection. The actual balance, sitting in your own account, right now. Here's the part nobody puts on a magnet for your fridge. Sarah didn't win because she was disciplined in some superhuman, cold shower every morning kind of way. She won because she was stubborn in the most ordinary way possible. She just kept showing up, month after month, even when the account looked like it was napping on the job. For 9 straight years, that account gave her almost nothing back. If it were a coworker, she would have written it up. If it were a relationship, her friends would have staged an intervention. And yet, she stayed. Not out of blind faith, out of math she didn't even fully trust yet. And that's the punchline of this whole story. The boring years weren't the years she wasted. They were the years she was quietly building the launch pad for the one number that finally moved. Year 30 didn't just show up out of nowhere. It showed up because year 1, year 5, and year 9 all did their unglamorous, invisible little jobs first. So here's a sincere request. Not the kind that relies on algorithms. If this made you laugh a little at the irony of compound interest giving you $41 for a whole year of sacrifice, and then $22,000 for doing exactly the same thing 30 years later, sign up. Not because we need the numbers, because somewhere out there is a 9th grader looking at their bank account, just one bad month away from giving up long before the tide turns in their favor. Share this video with that person. They don't yet know they're closer than they think. Thank you for watching until the end. If you've watched this far, you're already different from most people. Now I want to ask you something very simple. If this helped you see your money differently, go to the comments below and tell me what impacted you, or which part you related to the most. If you want, just type a number, 9th grade, no judgments. Just acknowledging it makes a difference toward real change. I read all the comments. It brings me satisfaction and encourages me to keep creating content that delivers real results. Watch the next video below and check out more content like this. Click here until the next video.